So now we're going to continue with our second segment of the Powtoon, which focuses on monitoring student participation in the digital classroom.
It's important that while we begin this transition to remote learning, that we consider our Ls, their proficiency levels in English, as well as their comfort levels with the tech tools that are implemented. And this is assuming, of course, that they have the necessary technology at home in order to participate in all the distance learning that has been planned for them. Acquiring this information may require you to reach out to the families of your students, which is a great practice to put in place at this time.
Okay, here we are at our next poll. And the question reads, what level of participation are you seeing in your digital classroom? So if everyone can take a second to respond by clicking on one of the answer choices on the poll here. Okay, give it a few more seconds before we share our results with you.
Okay, I see we've got 65, 66 responses, so I'll just give it another moment for more people to respond.
And you can feel free to respond in the chat too. If these polls aren't coming up for you, you can always respond in the chat.
We're at 75 responses. I'm going to stop the poll now to share the results. Erica, are the results visible?
Yes, they are. So based on your responses, we have a follow-up question for those of you who've indicated less than 100%.
So I'm actually going to share the next question. And the question is, have you reached out to your students who have not engaged in the digital classroom? And as you can see, we set this up as a multiple choice question. So our possible responses that we're offering are yes, using tools like Remind or Talking Points, yes, by telephone, yes, via our digital classroom platform, or no, not yet. So we're really happy to see that there is so much reaching out going on. And we want you just to stop and think for a moment about why monitoring student engagement is so critical at this time. Of course, we always want to make sure we have those connections with our students, but particularly at this time, aside from our academic concerns, we must also consider the social, emotional experiences and well-being of our students. Lack of participation in our digital or online settings can be a red flag for us that students are really struggling with feelings of isolation, or perhaps just processing the current situation. Maybe they don't have the tools necessary to be participating in our remote settings. So we really need to make sure that we're making efforts to contact all of our students, but especially those who are not engaging in our digital classrooms, because this is such a critical time to be monitoring that.
You might even consider incorporating questioning tactics that encourage reflection, providing opportunities for all students to express their feelings. I know typically if you ask a question like, are you okay? The response will be yes. But if we phrase our question carefully, we may be able to elicit deeper reflection and response to identify those students in need of additional support and resources. So I know, for example, with younger children, you might ask them to select an image that represents how they're feeling. And older students can be asked to describe an experience or their experience at home. I found that with secondary students, they're willing to share how they feel and just need only be asked.